Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Was President Trump earlier today praising ABC's decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's late night show indefinitely. The network pulled the show after a group of 32 network affiliates said they would stop it over comments Kimmel made about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Some Democrats coming out against the move.
You get the chairman of the FCC running around basically like the president's enforcer to shut down the late night talk show hosts who are like modern Tom Paines.
It's the playbook. Read On Tyranny, read so many books about how authoritarian regimes come about.
He is a wannabe mob boss who will push the envelope to the end of the earth.
Some of the reaction there. Molly Hemingway sharing her thoughts on all of that in just a few moments. But first, let's get to William Lajeunesse, who's live in L.A. with more on all of this for us. Hi, William.
Well, Sandra, there are several layers here. Controversy over what Kimmel said, why many stations want him off the air, and ABC. Did they do and suspend Kimmel to placate affiliates, get this billion-dollar deal I'm going to talk about past regulators till this blows over, viewers forget? Well, this is Kimmel yesterday after ABC suspended his show indefinitely for comments about Kirk's killer.
Some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Well, that's not accurate about the killer. Tyler Robinson's own mother says her son, who is politically left, pro-gay, and trans rights, yet neither Kimmel nor ABC corrected the record.
We still have free speech, but if you're putting a television show on, broadcasting to millions of people nationwide, and you're telling lies, sure, you can do that. That's free speech, but there are consequences to it.
Yet Kimmel's supporters jumped to his defense, blaming Trump for what ABC did.
This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values.
America is a less free place if late-night comedians cannot do and say what they want.
We should not be going after people for this. Look, did he get some things wrong? Yeah. But he is not a commentator, a news anchor. This is somebody who's a comedian.
So Democrats also complained about Kimmel's comments Kimmel-related comments by FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, warning TV stations their license requires they represent a diversity of opinion.
We at the FCC are going to enforce the public interest obligation. If there's broadcasters out there that don't like it, they can turn their license into the FCC. But that's our job. And again, we're making some progress now.
So that's why this is important. Take a look at this map. Red dots are ABC affiliates owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. Yellow ones owned by Nexstar, which is trying to buy 64 more stations in a $6 billion deal that must get first approved by the FCC. Both of those station groups, Sandra, pulled Kimmel before ABC, calling his remarks insensitive and offensive. So Kimmel makes $16 million a year. ABC reportedly earns about $76 million in ad revenue from his show. But remember, Colbert allegedly cost CBS $100 million to produce. So maybe this is an out for ABC. Others say he's a beloved member of the family, and this will blow over. Back to you.
Got it. William Lajeunesse in L.A. on that for us. Thank you. John?
All right, let's dig a little deeper on this with Molly Hemingway, Fox News contributor. So as William was pointing out, the decision was driven by two big ABC stations group, Nexstar and Sinclair. Here's what the chairman of, or the president of the Nexstar broadcast division, Andrew Alford, said about it. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time, and we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move toward the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. So that from Nexstar. Interesting to note that Sinclair is replacing the Jimmy Kimmel Show this Friday with a tribute to Charlie Kirk.
Well, one of the things that I think has not been covered well about this situation is what William just said in this show. These broadcast spectrum stations are different than all other speech platforms. There are requirements on people who are given broadcast licenses for broadcasting on the public airwaves, that they must do things in the public interest. And I think part of the reason why people don't know that is because our corporate media, ABC, NBC, CBS, have been so far left-wing that people didn't realize that they were actually in violation of the regulations to be balanced in their public opinion, to be operating in the public interest. Clearly, what Jimmy Kimmel said, blaming MAGA for the assassination and martyrdom of Charlie Kirk, is not in the public interest. And it was the type of thing that was so bad that Sinclair and Nexstar, two station groups that have actually been trying to focus on this issue of the lack of diversity of thought in major broadcast media, it was a good opportunity for them to show why that's such a problem and why it does not serve the public interest. But this was still, I think, also important to note, a private decision. Nexstar and Sinclair are private companies. They do not think it's in their interest to be broadcasting things that are so hostile to the vast majority of the American people. And then ABC also understood, well, we're starting to have a problem with our affiliates. This show is not serving our interest.
Yeah, I still remember back in the days of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where he didn't really know where his politics were. He played them very close to the vest. A lot of people thought he was a Rockefeller Republican, socially liberal, fiscally conservative, but he thought that his show needed to entertain everybody. Now the network shows are all about bashing President Trump. And here's what the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, said about the new shows.
Late night shows, something's gone seriously awry there. They went from going for applause, from laugh lines to applause lines. They went from being court jesters that would make fun of everybody in power to being court clerics and enforcing a very narrow political ideology. And Nexstar, as you noted, stood up and said, look, we have the license and we don't want to run this anymore. We don't think it serves the interests of our community. Sinclair did the same thing.
So to your point then about doing what's in the best interest of the community, if you have 4 shows that are so left of center that all they're doing is they're bashing the administration, are they serving the public good?
And it's not really about bashing the administration, because that's something that even Johnny Carson would have done no matter who was in power. It's about not being accurate in what you're doing, being so hostile to the people that you were supposed to be serving. It is a great privilege to have a broadcast license. You get to make a ton of money. You get to influence public opinion. There are regulations associated with it. It is not censorship like what we have experienced elsewhere in our society. I work at the Federalist. Our publication, the U.S. government has admitted that they were censoring us in recent years, working with censorship groups that they had funded and continue to market. And that is different because the Federalist is online, and that is not a sphere where the federal government should be engaged in censorship. Regulating public airwaves is different. If people truly care about censorship, there's a lot of opportunity to care about it with what has been done online and in other forums that it would be great if people finally started caring.
Well, the Colbert Show is on its way out. We'll see if Kimmel is too, or
and more
if he
than
comes
anything,
back.
it would just be great to have some humor. I mean, people are saying these are comedy shows. They have not been comedy shows for years.
No, they're not all that funny anymore.
Yeah.
Molly, great to see you.
Thank
Please say hi to your mom.
Thanks. Will do.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.